I originally got interested in fantasy at a very early age. My parents were great cinema goers in the early days, in the 20s, and they used to take me to these unusual pictures like Metropolis, The Lost World, when I was about 3 or 4, and I think that started it. I was fascinated with the unusual. My mother got me a set of wonder books, and that showed trips to Mars and Saturn and various other planets, along with mythology. I always preferred the past rather than the future. I think that's more romantic. The future is mostly silvers, rocket ships, and explosions, each character trying to blow the other out of the universe, and it never appealed to me that much. The past appealed to me much more. When I first started out, monsters were the in thing in the 50s, and you had to have destruction, a great deal of destruction. Disasters were popular in those days. And I got rather tired of destroying cities. I destroyed New York with the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. I destroyed San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge with a giant octopus, and that gets rather repetitious. I always wanted to animate a skeleton. I felt that if you had James Bond or somebody like that fighting a skeleton, that would be laughable. But if you had a mythological character, such as Sinbad, who represents the epitome of adventure, you could accept him dueling. So the first drawing I made was a skeleton on a staircase fighting Sinbad. And that started the seventh voyage of Sinbad. And of course, the next step was Greek mythology. They always talked about the mythological creatures, but you never saw them on the screen. So I was determined to put these things on the screen, that you would see the Cyclops, and he wouldn't be just a Greek wrestler with an eye glued in the middle of his forehead.
The gods of Olympus are mysterious, and their motives are erratic.
Every legend has to be modified, I feel. You can't just take the story as it is, because they're rather fragmented. When Clash of the Titans came along, that was originally Beverly's basic idea, because he was a scholar of mythology. He lived in the Greek islands for a while, and he always wanted to put Perseus and Andromeda on the screen. So when he approached Charles and myself, we jumped at the idea. The creatures were incorporated in the story in the original legends. So I designed certain scenes, and he wrote them in the script. Beverly had to tie them all together, along with my drawings and concepts of new sequences, so that the whole picture made sense and could hold an audience for an hour and a half. It was a great chance to put the best of mythology, I thought, on the screen.
100 good deeds cannot atone for one murder.
That was the first time we really had what you'd call star names in our film. Who else could play Zeus but Laurence Olivier? He has the authority, even though he was quite ill at the time.
Destroy Argos!
Then, of course, we had Claire Bloom, and we had Maggie Smith, who played Thetis. They all were beautifully cast. It was a delight to work with Burgess Meredith. He helped carry the picture along with his vitality, I think. Originally, they wanted a British actor, but then they didn't want the film to look all British, so they cast an American in the role, and Burgess fit the role perfectly. I think Harry Hamlin did a very good job. He had to work with these British actors, all very prominent in the show business world, and I think he did a wonderful job as Perseus. And Judy Bowker had that wonderful innocent character about her that fit the role of Andromeda.